Hi, my name is Dr. Shahrunizam Ahmad Zamzali. I'm an emergency physician and I'm also a first aid trainer from Clinic Family Graviditis. In this case, I'd like to share about a baby is choking. Okay, for this part, I'd like to share on the prevention of choking. If we talk about prevention of any emergencies in pediatric population, it is the best thing that we need to do is always common sense. For the public, for the parents, for the handlers, for the teachers to have a good sense of common sense so that you know a strong sense of what's dangerous and what's not. So usually I would advise, especially for the first-time parents, is to baby-proof your home. When we talk about baby-proofing home, is sometimes certain small objects that we might miss. For instance, on the floor or under the furniture. One of the steps in baby-proofing your home would be advisable for you to crawl on your fours and then go around looking at your house from a small baby's perspective. Because sometimes when you are standing tall, we cannot see anything that is below the furniture or anything that they can actually reach. And sometimes there is electrical outlets, you can see some edges, you can see some edges of the furniture that is dangerous. So sometimes it's always good to walk around from their perspective, from their level, so at least you can see what are the dangers that they can be exposed to. That would be the first step. And also when we talk about baby proofing, because usually we'll talk about first aid, the most dangerous area in the house would be one, the kitchen, because it involves heat, it involves sharp objects, and the second would be the bathroom, because it involves a lot of water. So these two areas we need to be very careful, especially when you have a exploring child, 1 year old. Try to make sure that they are not in this area, because coming to the kitchen, they can always pull down the handle of the stove, the handle of the pans, and they can spill over the hot contents. That's one thing. And then there is a lot of the knives and all the forks can also be a source of danger. Talking about the bathroom, usually it's best if you try to keep the bathroom door closed at all times. This is because you never know that the child might crawl into the bathroom and they can fall into the pail of water. And as I said, usually a pail of water is more dangerous than a basin of water, because the basin is bigger. So usually if a baby falls onto a basin, it's easier for the baby to turn. But the pail is smaller and taller. So if a baby falls head first, it is and because the baby's head is usually bigger and heavier, it is usually difficult for the baby to topple over. So the baby will drown even with a small amount of water or fluid there. So keep them away from these dangerous places. I'm not going to talk about bedroom, because bedroom it can also be a potential danger because of all the fittings, all the covers, all the blankets, because they can be smothered. But the two most dangerous areas would be the kitchen and the toilet. So all the areas in the house, there is a potential to become dangerous to the child. So try to baby-proof your home. Second is try to cultivate a good eating habit. Try not let the child or the baby to eat while running and while playing, while climbing. Because sometimes when they are not focused when they are eating, it's very easy for the food to go into the airway rather than the esophagus and the food tube. So cultivate a good eating habit. Try to make sure that they stay. I know it's difficult. You sit on the table and stay on the table. And for the parents, try to prepare the food beforehand, especially if it's a solid, hard food, such as fruits, such as a piece of meat. Try to cut it down into small, chewable chunks rather than giving them whole. Especially for fruits like grape, it's quite big and it's quite rounded, smooth. It's very easy for the child to, when they are eating, to slip down and choke on the grape. So when you are giving, if you plan to give them grapes, make sure you cut them properly. Cut them longitudinally, like so. Let's say this is a grape, cut it like that rather than like that. Because if you cut it like that, it can go through the food. Let's say if it goes through the airway, it would not cause choking, it will not cause obstruction. But if you cut it like that, it can still, the top part can still lodge and cause the choking. So food preparation is also important for the adults, for the parents, and for the childminders. The third part would be always monitor the children. Okay, this is quite important, especially let's say if in terms of a family outing. I used to face one case where during a family outing, someone is choking, someone is drowning, because everybody is busy eating, is busy talking, no one is minding the child. So usually it's good to, if you are in a family outing, designate one person to be the childminder and you keep the food for them. Do not let everybody eat at the same time, because if someone is, or everybody is eating, is focusing on talking, no one is looking at the child, and everybody is assuming that someone else is looking at the child. And then suddenly, no one will notice that the child or the baby is drowning or is choking. So try to have a designated childminder when there is a large group, because we do not want everybody to assume that someone is doing it. That would be the second thing, the monitoring. So parents and adults or childminders needs to learn the correct techniques, the proper techniques from the properly certified people. Because sometimes from the social media, you can get lots of tips, you can get lots of information, but we need to make sure that the information you are getting is the correct information. So now it's the time for public to learn to filter the information, take the correct information. How do you know? When you want to learn first aid, when you want to learn CPR, try to look for who is the trainer. Okay, try to look for trainer who's got experience. Try to look for trainer who's been in that situation, because it's always easy to teach when you haven't been involved. You are just talking about theory. Especially in emergency situation, in emergency settings, the most important thing is to manage your fear, manage your panic. And this is quite important. If in a training and you do not train how to manage the parents or the adults or the providers panic, then all the knowledge will be gone during that split second of the distress. So when you are trying to learn from credible sources, learn the correct techniques, try to do some backup homework. Who is doing the training? Who is he? Who is she? From where? What are their experience? Just because they are training first aid, they do not mean that they are training the correct stuff. So try to look for the background of the trainers. Okay. So for this sessions, I've discussed about how we are going to prevent the choking or any, in general, any emergencies from happening in the house. So I would like to thank all the listeners for focusing, for listening, for being with us. And if you're interested in learning first aid, in learning how to manage baby choking, you can always contact us at Clinic Family Gravidities. We are on the Facebook, we are on Instagram. We can also be contacted at the number which is shown. So hopefully we can try to spread the first aid knowledge, the correct first aid knowledge to the public. Thank you very much.